there are consequences. I'm talking about adultery, and most of us are married or have been married at
There
some
are
point, and
consequences.
you could understand what happens when there is an adulterous relationship that ends in divorce. I mean, look at all of the people that are harmed.
Hmm.
I
Mm,
mean, the
mm, mm,
children, it may cause financial ruin. Not to
mm-hmm.
mention, there's always that phrase, it's cheaper to keep her. But I mean, just think about it. And this is on either party's part. The credit is ruined. You're trying to
Mhm.
restore your life afterwards. And look at all of the heartache and pain that one thing causes. Sometimes the children grow up into adults and they're still holding on
Mm-hmm.
to emotions and experiences from the divorce that took place when they were a child. So it has a long lasting effect or consequences.
Right.
Fact.
But think about when a person, before they get into that uh, adulterous affair, or whatever the case is, at that point, starting out, and I'm sure it's enticing, when the person is getting compliments or whatever, especially if they're getting, having problems at home already, and you're in wherever the person is, and you're receiving something from this other person. But when you start to accept whatever it is, and you're easing in and easing into whatever is going on, and then you partake in that, and
Mm.
then everything starts to unravel, at that point, So when you yield to it, that's where all the problems really start to happen, I'm sure.
Yep. You're listening to that voice of the seductress.
Hmm.
And they think it's out external, but it's internal. How many
Well,
voices do you got for the inside? How many? Anybody got any voices inside of them? They're saying, "Go ahead, man. Go ahead. You can do it. Try it. Go on. Ain't gonna
I was
bother."
going to say,
Yeah, right.
usually the voices inside at that point, they're not saying what they supposed to say.
It's right, but they vote. Okay, so like you said something in the beginning of your reading. I want you to read the first 5 verses you read, and I want you to read them very slow. The first 5 verses that you just read, Miss.
Okay. So 20 through 25, I would imagine. Okay. My son, keep your father's command and do not forsake the law of your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Bind them continually up on your heart, tie them around your neck. When you roam, they will lead you. When you sleep, they will
Mm-hmm.
keep you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you awake, they will
Mm-hmm.
speak with you.
Now, watch. Stop right there. Stop right there.
Mhm.
We're talking about these proverbs and, or more so, wisdom. What are you getting out of this right now when he said that, Miss Joyce?
Well,
'Cause-
you're given the command of an advice as to what you should do. Receiving the advice that, as they're speaking of with the parents here, but anyone who, has the wisdom, that are giving you advice to take these things and to bind them, in your heart, to hold on to them. You go to bed with them, you wake up with them. As you walk and you take it with you, allow it to lead you, you
Mhm.
know, uh, you know, so
Yeah, you're right about it. I had to stop because I kept hearing it, and I kept hearing that, and like I keep saying, like the guy say, I don't want to read. I need to get the better understanding so I can become the book, become the wisdom. But you can't do it until you learn how to meditate. I think that's the only reason why I can remember the song the way I read it. The song I'm knowing. Like there's songs you can remember, right? How many of y'all remember some songs? Sometimes you can hear the note in the first three bars of that song. Boom, 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 boom. You knew that song. That thing broke you down in the like, oh my God, these are the things like you got. Am I making sense there? These are the things you need to stay away from. Maybe when there's so many babies here today. Lord have mercy. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead, Lynn. It's your turn.
The same set of scriptures that Joyce read in the
Mm-hmm.
Message Bible read, Good friend, follow your father's good advice.
Come on.
Don't wander off from your mother's teachings.
Mm-hmm.
Wrap yourself in them from head to foot. Wear them like a scarf around your neck.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you walk, they'll guide you.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you rest, they'll guard you. When you wake up, they'll tell you what's next. For sound advice is a beacon, good teaching is a light, moral discipline is a life path.
What you say? What you say? That's why Naima like that passage. Hey, Naima, tell him, girl.
I'm just over here shaking my head. It's really good information.
Oh,
And um, one thing I wanted to say, you guys were talking about, Lynn was talking about the emotions, and I was thinking, hurt people hurt other people.
mm-hmm.
When you don't get healed, when you don't get deliverance, when you don't get help for that pain and that emotion, it's going to come out on others. Um, and then, I mean, this is really good, this passage, because we have the wisdom. Our parents teach us things,
Mm-hmm.
if we listen. And like it says, whenever you walk, it'll guide you. Whenever you rest, it'll guard you. And when you wake, it'll be right there, this wisdom. It doesn't go anywhere. We have to make that decision whether I'm going to listen to it, whether I'm going to heed it or not. And then I think we talked yesterday about them consequences. If I don't, then stuff is going to happen. So,
Mm-hmm. That's the consequences.
hmm
That part. And you look at these kids today, they're so different than we were. But like when you look at that Bible, that thing is the best teacher right now. In my head, I'm looking at it from this level. You say, well, what's that word? What would some guy WW what Jesus do? What would
what would
Jesus do?
Jesus do?
What would Jesus
WWJD.
So when you doing stuff and that girl is riling you up, you be like, you know what? I think me and Lynn, and I can't say this enough. The conversations that we're able to have, and it has to govern the way you react or respond. And those voices that you say,
Absolutely.
it'll change all of that. When you say, "All right, girls, we're gonna come over here. Let's have a conversation." Me and Lynn, we don't have like you don't hear a top. Do we? Okay, between 4 and 6, we're gonna do this. But anytime we could be watching a movie on TV.
stop
Sometimes,
watching?
huh?
That will stop watching the movie.
Yep. You follow what I'm saying? So sometimes even the kids, you raising the kids, you might want to go ahead and that way teach. I don't think I was like taught the way that we're learning right now. I can promise you that. I have never looked at
No, it
Proverbs.
was it was
Listen,
do what you better do, what I say do, or you gonna get your butt whooped.
that that's the way they taught. That is the way they taught.
I remember being a young child, I thought the only scripture that was in the Bible was spare the rod, spoil the child. Like there they go,
And if
whacking
you
the
read it
boys
down, but
and
yeah, yeah. But now when you read that same scripture, I guarantee you won't get the same understanding of what they got. They just
Well,
well,
they did like spare that is my mother said it wasn't spare the rod, it was really spare your tongue. You can't cuss them kids out like that. But that's what she thought. She said the Bible meant spare the tongue. The rod was your tongue because you kept on, anyway, irritating me. Stay in the house. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lynn. Let's go.
So, well,
Ain't that right, Eric? Is he on it?
mhm. I was just thinking, um, not to take a step backwards, but uh, the part where it's warning against adultery. And, I just thought, like, of all of for those few moments of pleasure,
Mm.
it's
Conse-
like a lifetime of consequences.
Oof.
And you can see the wisdom in warning someone against that. And I remember, and this was before I was in a situation like that, but I remember I had she was my best friend at the time. I mean, she's still a good friend. But I remember when she was considering stepping out on her marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, dropping her off places that she shouldn't have been dropped off at, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I was like, are you serious about this? Like, you're getting ready to make a decision that you can't
Mm-hmm.
come back from. Like, you shouldn't open this door and walk through this door unless you are willing to go through all of the stuff that comes afterwards, and you think about that, the consequences of that, including it could destroy your reputation. Um, you're being unfaithful. Some people have come up with a disease. Some people have shown up dead because the spouse, once they found out, killed somebody,
Jesus.
you know. And not to mention the unrelenting anger of the person who was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So if the husband stepped out, the wife, and women, we know we can be mad and angry for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still dealing with that.
Come on.
And I just, I was really thinking about that for that 5 or 10 minutes of pleasure, or I mean, it may be a little bit longer, but when you compare that to being married 18 years or 20
Mm.
years,
They never even think about the children either, what that does to the children.
Mm-hmm. Your computer went off, Lynn. Yeah. All right. We got a few more. Let's come on up here and read those last few for me, Miss Joyce.
Okay. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he is starving. Yet
Mm-hmm.
when he is found, he must restore sevenfold. He may have to give up all the substance of his house.
Mm-hmm.
Whosoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He who does so destroys his own soul.
Mm.
Wounds and dishonor he will get, and his reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy is a husband's fury. Therefore, he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will accept no recompense, for nor will he be appeased, though you give him many gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So there is talking about people not despising a thief if they steal to satisfy himself. So if the person is hungry and needing something, in a lot of cases, I guess once they find out um, then they're not so much angry with the person for stealing because of them being hungry.
Man, that's
But it's still talking about, if when the person is found, then it has to be restored sevenfold. So it's coming back to the person who lost whatever was stolen, you
mm,
know, um, from their house or whatever the case might be.
mm.
Um, in that portion there, but it just goes on to talk about, the adultery and what we were speaking on before, about a person in the moment of pleasure losing, everything that they've worked so hard for. It destroys the home, it destroys the marriage, it destroys friendships and all of that, part of it. But we are to keep, it's really, I guess, kind of comparing it to uh adultery more or less to God, for um as we are doing wrong and are not doing what we need to do. It's kind of like adultery,
There it is.
spiritual adultery.
It's a brainless act, soul destroying,
Mhm.
self destructing, destructive. Expect a bloody nose, a black eye, and
Mm,
a reputation ruined for good. For jealousy destinates rage in a cheated husband, while for revenge he won't make allowances.
mm.
Nothing you say or pay will make it right. Neither the bribe nor reason will satisfy him. That's crazy.
Wow.
Huh? What did you say, Lynn? Oh, you deleted. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself. No, I can hear you. There you go.
Very
Uh,
nasty, very
jealous.
nasty. Good morning, everyone. It'd be
Yeah.
very nasty,
Real nasty. Go ahead, Lynn.
very
Well,
sticky.
Mm-hmm.
it says jealousy detonates rage. I just like that phrase, the choice of words there. When you think of
Ah.
something being detonated, bombs are detonated.
Mm.
So jealousy ignites
Mm.
a rage in a cheated husband. And that's what I was talking about. There's folks that have cheated that aren't here to talk about it.
Ooh.
So you talking about detonating a rage
Man,
and and wild for revenge. They call it what, a crime of passion.
come on.
And nothing you say or pay will make it right.
Not a daggone
There's
thing.
not enough I'm sorry's for that one.
Hello.
Mm.
Well, I think that was a really good proverb. Proverb 6 is really interesting. And this is what I'll encourage you all to do. Again, the first thing I can say is because let me share something with you guys. When we read this, we read it, we discuss it, but it is very important that I want you to, it's just like you go to church and you heard a message and you never even know, you don't even know what he talked about yet. So guess what? It cannot change you. That's not going to change your behavior. Just because you went there, you look good on the outside, but all inside, because you're not doing what you need to do for the heart, for the internal, for the brain. Those are the organs you got to affect to create your transformation and stop conforming to the mess that's around here like everybody else. God bless you all. Have a great day on purpose, and I will see you on tomorrow.